Welcome to Dark Delight. Today, we venture into the eerie world of phantom drivers. Imagine driving down a lonely road at night, only to encounter a ghostly vehicle that vanishes into thin air. From England's spectral black sedan to America's haunted highways, these bizarre encounters with mysterious phantom drivers will send chills down your spine. Are these sightings mere legends, or is there something truly supernatural at play? Join us as we uncover the spine-chilling stories of these ghostly apparitions on wheels. Buckle up, because this ride is going to be haunting. Our first story takes us back to 1911, near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where a stretch of road called Devil's Bend became notorious for fatal accidents. It was a foggy night, and a group of politicians was returning from a late-night meeting. They were driving cautiously around the dangerous curves when something utterly terrifying happened. Out of the thick fog, a car emerged, seemingly from nowhere. This was no ordinary vehicle. It was a phantom car, and its occupants were skeletons. As the car sped towards the group, the skeleton driver calmly lit a cigarette, casting an eerie glow on his bony face. The car swerved wildly and skidded, crashing into trees with a blinding flash of light. The politicians, their hearts racing, quickly approached the crash site, but to their astonishment, there was no car, no wreckage, and no sign of an accident. Local newspapers quickly picked up the story, and the headlines were sensational. Skeleton car terrorizes politicians on Devil's Bend. The journalist described how the men were left trembling and pale, recounting their encounter with the ghostly vehicle. The story spread like wildfire, and soon, Devil's Bend was avoided by many who feared encountering the phantom skeleton car. One witness, a local farmer, claimed he had seen the car before. He described hearing the sound of tires screeching and seeing the car's headlights cutting through the fog. The driver, always a skeleton, seemed to steer the car with ghostly precision before vanishing into the night. These reports added to the legend, making Devil's Bend one of the most feared roads in Pennsylvania. Theories about the phantom car varied. Some said it was a spectral replay of a tragic accident that had happened years before. Others believed it was a warning from beyond the grave, urging drivers to be cautious on the treacherous curves. Whatever the truth, the story of the phantom skeleton car remains one of the most chilling tales of ghostly encounters on the road. As you drive through foggy roads at night, remember this story. Our next story takes us to the 1920s in Ireland, between the villages of Athleague and Mount Talbot. This region became infamous for sightings of a ghostly motor car that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The spectral car, often described as a high-powered vehicle ablaze with light, was reported by numerous witnesses. One late night, a local farmer named Patrick O'Leary was walking home when he saw the ghost car for the first time. It was just past midnight, and the road was deserted. Out of nowhere, a car appeared, moving silently down the road. Its headlights were blindingly bright, illuminating the entire path ahead. Patrick noticed that the car seemed to float above the ground, passing through hedges and walls as if they weren't there. Local newspapers soon picked up on these eerie encounters, with headlines like "Spectral Car Haunts Irish Countryside." Articles described how the car, driven by white-robed figures, moved without making a sound and could pass through solid objects. One particularly chilling report detailed an account from a young couple who saw the ghost car while driving late at night. They claimed that the car appeared out of thin air, passed right through their vehicle, and disappeared into the darkness. These reports created a sense of fear and curiosity among the locals. Many villagers believed the sightings were linked to a tragic event that occurred years earlier. A landlord and his wife had died of fright while driving along that same road, and it was said that their spirits now haunted the area, manifesting as the ghost car. To add to the mystery, the ghost car was often seen around the same time each night, just after midnight. Witnesses described the car as having no driver, or sometimes being occupied by shadowy figures dressed in old-fashioned clothing. Despite numerous sightings, no physical evidence of the car was ever found. This haunting tale spread quickly, and soon, the roads between Athleague and Mount Talbot were deserted at night, as locals feared encountering the spectral vehicle. The ghost car became a part of local folklore, with stories passed down through generations. Our next story takes us to North Carolina in the 1940s, along the treacherous NC-49, which winds through the low hills of the Uwharries between Asheboro and Charlotte. This road was notorious for its sharp turns and remote stretches, making it a prime location for eerie encounters. One late night, a family was driving along NC-49. The parents and their 2 children were making their way home after visiting relatives. The road was dark and deserted, the only light coming from their car's headlights. As they navigated a particularly sharp curve, they noticed headlights rapidly approaching from behind. Within seconds, a vintage 1940s Ford appeared, swerving wildly and honking its horn aggressively. The father, trying to keep calm, pulled to the side to let the car pass. But instead of passing, the phantom car veered even closer, forcing their vehicle towards the edge of the road. Panic set in as the family felt their car being pushed dangerously close to the ditch. Suddenly, just as quickly as it had appeared, the phantom car vanished into thin air, leaving the family terrified and confused. Local newspapers soon picked up on these reports, with headlines like "Ghost Car Terrorizes Drivers on NC-49. The articles described how several drivers had encountered the same aggressive vehicle. One particularly chilling account came from a truck driver named Bill Thompson, who reported that the phantom car had appeared out of nowhere, tailgating him and forcing him to speed up. Bill recounted how the car seemed to have no driver and how it disappeared into a puff of green smoke as he approached a busy intersection. As more reports surfaced, the legend of the phantom car grew. Drivers described seeing a skeletal figure behind the wheel, wearing a mask that looked like a skull and crossbones. This ghostly driver was said to laugh maniacally and even stand on the hood of the car as it sped down the road. The car was often seen maneuvering with capabilities far beyond any vehicle available at the time, adding to its supernatural reputation. In one eerie report, Rex and Tom Weaver, brothers from St. Mary's, recounted their encounter. They were driving on Route 40 near McCartyville when the phantom car passed them, only to stop suddenly in front of them. As they skidded to a stop and got out to confront the driver, the car began to fill with green smoke. Inside, they saw a man in a wild-looking striped suit laughing like a maniac before speeding away. The sightings of the phantom car continued for years, causing numerous accidents and spreading fear among local drivers. Despite numerous attempts by the police to catch the ghostly vehicle, it was never found. The legend of the aggressive phantom car of NC-49 remains one of the most chilling tales of ghostly encounters on the road. Our next story unfolds on the eerie stretches of Route 40 in Ohio during the early 1950s. This rural, narrow road was the setting for some of the most chilling encounters with a phantom driver. One cold December night, a trucker named Roy Fitzwater was driving near Vandalia, Ohio. The weather was dreadful, with spitting snow and freezing rain making visibility poor. Roy dimmed his lights as a car approached from the opposite direction. As the car got closer, its headlights suddenly went out entirely, and a dim light flicked on inside. Roy could see a skeletal figure glowing inside the car. Terrified, he floored the accelerator and sped away as fast as he could. His encounter was just the beginning of a series of terrifying experiences reported by other drivers on Route 40. Local newspapers soon reported these eerie sightings, with headlines like "Phantom Skeleton Stalks Route 40." Articles described how the phantom car, often seen during stormy nights, would appear out of nowhere, forcing drivers off the road before vanishing into thin air. One particularly chilling report involved Rex and Tom Weaver, brothers from St. Mary's. They were driving on Route 40 near McCartyville when a car with no lights passed them and suddenly stopped in front of them. As they skidded to a stop and got out to confront the driver, the car began to fill with green smoke. Inside, they saw a man in a wild-looking striped suit laughing maniacally before speeding away. The sightings of the phantom car became more frequent and more bizarre. Witnesses described seeing a glowing skeletal figure behind the wheel, sometimes wearing a mask in the shape of a skull and crossbones. The car was reported to have extraordinary speed and maneuverability, far beyond any vehicle available at the time. It would swerve and veer erratically, terrifying other drivers before disappearing in a puff of green smoke. One eerie incident involved a motorist who encountered the phantom car on a foggy morning. He saw the shadow of a man outlined against the mist inside the car. When he got out to investigate, the car vanished before his eyes, leaving him stunned and terrified. police were baffled by these reports and tried desperately to catch the phantom driver. They set up roadblocks and even employed the services of low-flying airplanes, but the phantom car always managed to evade capture. Despite their efforts, the mysterious vehicle continued its spree, shattering windshields and denting cars with what seemed like supernatural precision. By late June, the attack suddenly stopped, and the phantom driver dissolved into the cracks of history, leaving behind a trail of frightened witnesses and unanswered questions. In the early 1950s, Illinois was gripped by a series of terrifying encounters with a mysterious blue car on U.S. Highway 66 near Joliet. Late in May of 1952, two drivers came forward with strange stories about being attacked by an unseen gunman in a blue vehicle. These incidents set off a wave of fear and speculation across the state. One of the most chilling accounts came from Edward Smith of St. Louis, Illinois. On June 2nd, he was driving just south of the Sangamon River when he heard a loud ping against his car. Startled, he pulled over to investigate. As he stepped out of his car, he saw a man jump from the bushes and sprint towards a large blue car parked nearby. The mysterious man quickly got into the blue vehicle and sped away, leaving Edward shaken and confused. Upon closer inspection, Edward found a .38 caliber bullet lodged in his back window, confirming his fears that he had been shot at. This was not an isolated incident. By June 8th, there were 10 reports of similar attacks along central Illinois. Witnesses described how the blue car would drive up alongside them, and someone inside would fire at their vehicles. These terrifying encounters led to a massive manhunt. State police and sheriff's deputies set up roadblocks along a 70-mile stretch and even employed a low-flying airplane in an attempt to catch the phantom gunman. Despite their efforts, the mysterious blue car always managed to evade capture. One newspaper headline read, "Phantom Gunman Terrorizes Illinois Drivers." The articles detailed the growing panic among locals and the frustration of law enforcement. One report described how on June 10th, the phantom driver targeted a Marengo squad car. Police officer Lawrence Brown, who was patrolling the streets at dawn, gave chase, reaching speeds up to 90 mph, but he could not overtake the elusive blue car. The attacks were so frequent and widespread that they led to various theories about the identity and motive of the phantom driver. Some speculated that the gunman was a disgruntled ex-soldier or a mentally unstable individual. Others believed it was a group of criminals using the blue car as a decoy. Despite the numerous roadblocks and intense investigations, the gunman was never caught, and the blue car seemed to vanish as mysteriously as it had appeared. Adding to the eerie nature of these events, some witnesses reported seeing the blue car glow or vanish into thin air after the attacks. This fueled rumors of supernatural involvement, though most believed it was a very real, very dangerous person behind the wheel. The attack suddenly stopped in late June, leaving behind a trail of damaged cars and terrified drivers. To this day, the identity of the phantom gunman remains unknown, and the mysterious blue car has become a part of Illinois' haunted lore. One of the most chilling tales of phantom vehicles comes from the Soviet Union during the 1960s and 70s. This is the story of the Black Volga, a jet-black Volga limousine with white rims, tinted windows, and curtains. The car was often described as spotless and able to accelerate faster than any normal vehicle of its time. It roamed the streets, striking fear into the hearts of those who saw it. The Black Volga was rumored to abduct children and cause sudden deaths to anyone who got too close. Witnesses claimed that anyone who tried to interfere would drop dead on the spot or within 24 hours of the encounter. This terrifying vehicle seemed impervious to damage, adding to its supernatural aura. One particularly harrowing report from the 1960s in Ukraine described the Black Volga pulling up to two young girls. The doors opened, and the girls were seemingly sucked into the car as if by a vacuum cleaner. A middle-aged man, seeing this, ran to help and pried open the driver's side door. To his shock, the front of the car was completely empty. Just as he realized this, there was a blinding white flash, and the man woke up 24 hours later with a terrible headache. His account added to the growing legend of the Black Volga, a car with no driver, but a terrifying presence. The Black Volga was said to appear from nowhere, abducting people, mostly children. The car was linked to numerous disappearances, and stories spread that it was driven by agents of a secret organization, Satanists, or even the devil himself. The car was often seen at night, moving silently through the streets before vanishing without a trace. Newspapers from that time fueled the fear with headlines like "Children Vanish in Black Volga" and "Death Car Strikes Again." These reports described how the car seemed to have supernatural abilities, such as phasing through traffic and accelerating at impossible speeds. In one chilling incident, a witness saw the car pull up to a market. As people approached, the car vanished, leaving behind a sense of dread and confusion. Despite numerous sightings and stories, no one was ever able to provide a concrete explanation for the Black Volga. Some believed it was a government experiment gone wrong, while others thought it was a ghostly vehicle from another realm. The legend of the Black Volga became a staple of Soviet urban folklore, a reminder of the mysterious and terrifying unknown that lurked on the roads. Thank you for joining us on this eerie journey into the world of phantom drivers. These stories, spanning different times and places, show that sometimes the road holds more than just asphalt and traffic. Whether it's ghostly skeletons, spectral motor cars, or the terrifying Black Volga, these encounters remind us of the mysteries that still exist on our roads. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more spooky tales from dark to light. Share your thoughts and any ghostly encounters you've had in the comments below. Until next time, drive safe and stay curious.